Listen closely because this is not just a story, it is a warning wrapped in a whisper. There were 5 girls living together in a hostel who took extraordinary care of their health. They woke early every morning, prepared balanced breakfasts, practiced yoga or quick workouts, and chose water over sugary drinks. They were inseparable not only because they lived under the same roof, but because they protected each other's routines. Their friendship was a shield, and their discipline was their pride. Then one friendship slipped a little too close to danger. One girl named Allah met a charming boy named Rion at a cafe outside campus. He seemed gentle, helpful, and harmless. He listened to her worries and complimented her habits. He praised her discipline and said he admired how seriously she took her health. He became her friend. The first minute of meeting him felt like sunshine, but sunshine can burn if you stand under it too long. Rion did not arrive with threats. He arrived with snacks, late night invites, bottles wrapped in pretty labels, and words like relax, live a little, you deserve it. He started showing up at the hostel slowly, at first as a visitor, and then he became a pattern. He brought energy drinks and sweet treats. He convinced them to skip morning walks, to sleep longer, and he called certain foods convenient and harmless. He advised Allah to try a detox tea that he said would boost energy, but that tea was laced with stimulants and appetite suppressants. She trusted him because he was kind, and kind people can still be dangerous when one person in a circle changes habits. It nudges everyone else. At first the other girls laughed and called it harmless fun, but fun that eats at routine, eats at resilience. Day by day their bright faces dulled, their sleep became restless, and their immunity weakened. They blamed stress, assignments, or exams, but beneath it was slow sabotage disguised as attention. This is a tale about influence, about how a single toxic trust can fracture health, and how health is social as much as it is personal. The rest of the story is a careful map of what happened next, how his sister had resisted, how mistakes taught wisdom, and how health recovered through knowledge and hard boundaries. Now the full story unfolds. There were 5 friends, La Sofia, Lena, Mira, and Hiba. They had built a lifestyle together. Their fridge was full of vegetables. Their nights were for light stretching and reading. Their weekends were for long walks and home-cooked meals. Each supported the other when cravings hit or deadlines loomed. They called themselves the health circle because they believed well-being was collective. When Allah started spending time with Rion, she hid small changes. At first she told herself it was only occasional coffee or a late movie, but Rion escalated gently. He introduced new foods claiming they were exotic or trendy. He added sugary syrups to smoothies, claiming taste mattered more than labels. He suggested skipping breakfast after a late-night binge, saying fasting was modern and healthy without explaining the difference between intentional intermittent fasting and erratic meal skipping. He brought new bottled drinks that promised clean energy but carried high doses of caffeine and hidden sugars. He convinced them that supplements he ordered from dubious sellers were miraculous. The pattern was simple: normalize, then accelerate. Rion normalized indulgence and accelerated dependency. the girls began to experience headaches, midday and dizziness during exercise. They developed stomach aches and irregular cycles, and their concentration faltered in the space of months. Their once robust immunity bent under infections that lingered longer. Their sleep cycles were reshaped into fragmented nights, followed by lethargic days. Their study performance dipped, and emotionally they grew irritable and withdrawn. The hostel felt heavy. The health circle meetings became excuses instead of rituals. They talked less about meal prepping and more about why they felt tired. But this was not an inevitable fall. It was avoidable if signs were recognized early. This story shows the small red flags everyone can learn to spot: a friend who asks you to abandon your routines for immediate comfort, a partner who gifts you convenience foods and laughs off your concerns, a companion who isolates you from your support group by making late night private plans. At first, these moves feel flattering, but they are the architecture of dependency and the slow erosion of agency. The turning point came when Sophia noticed a pattern in her own body and confronted Allah gently, not with blame but with curiosity. She said, "I miss our morning walk, and I notice you are always tired now. Is everything okay?" Alice's first reaction was defensiveness, but beneath it was shame and fear. She had not realized how much she had drifted. She defended Rion at first, saying he helped her deal with stress, but Sophia persisted. She asked to meet Rion to understand his intentions. When the 5 girls sat with him, they saw that his caring had strings. He minimized healthy food choices as old-fashioned and mocked their discipline. He said friends should be flexible and not strict about routines. He suggested that their self-control was boring and that excitement was necessary for a fulfilled life. This revealed his pattern not as love but as control. The girls explained calmly the effects they had felt: the headaches, the sleep loss, the infections. The conversation exposed Rion's lack of respect for boundaries and his tendency to promote quick fixes over sustainable habits. He reacted by trying to charm them back, but charm cannot replace accountability. The result was decisive. They asked him to leave the hostel and to respect their boundaries. He left, but his influence left residues. The recovery was complex but possible. They restarted their routines intentionally this time. They added 3 actions that rebuilt trust in health knowledge. They researched the beverages and supplements Rion had offered and learned how stimulants, sugar, and unverified supplements affect metabolism, immunity, and hormonal balance. Support. They redefined their circle rules. None of Rion's gifts were accepted without group discussion, and any outsider visits required prior consent. Accountability. They scheduled weekly check-ins to evaluate sleep, mood, energy, and appetite. These checkpoints created a safety net so a single week decision could not become a group trend. They also learned important practical health lessons: eat regular, balanced meals, prioritize sleep, hydrate with water, not sugary substitutes, read ingredient labels, avoid unknown supplements, and seek medical advice before starting anything new. They learned to ask, why does this product make this promise, and where is the evidence? They saw how quickly poor diet choices translate into measurable changes in energy, immune response, and mood. More than a moral, the story gives concrete health signs to watch for: persistent fatigue, frequent infections, uncontrollable cravings, digestive discomfort, irregular menstrual cycles, and mood swings. These are warning lights, not moral failings. If you see them, investigate the recent changes in diet, sleep, and stress exposures. The emotional lesson is equally crucial: boundaries are health too. Saying no to a charming person who pushes harmful choices is a form of self-care. Protecting your routines is not rigidity, it is survival. The girls afterward supported Allah, forgiving her without excusing the influence. They included her in meal plans and in coaching sessions, where they invited a nutritionist to explain safe supplements and the physiology of sleep. They trained themselves to ask for evidence, not promises. They learned to rebuild trust slowly. The final part of the story is a reflection. This is not about demonizing outsiders or declaring love as dangerous. It is about the reality that influence matters and that health is social. Resilience comes from community knowledge shared, habits and clear boundaries. If one friend falls, the circle either tightens and lifts them back or weakens and all fall. The health circle chose to tighten. It took weeks of patience and months of consistent choices for their energy to return, but return it did when you protect your routines, you protect your future. This story ends not with punishment,